that good old favourite, roasted leg of lamb. Now, although this is a pretty traditional dish, all of my food always has a Caribbean twist to it. I won't be making it too spicy today because I am cooking for family and my auntie does not like chilli, so I am going to be using small amounts of heat but large amounts of flavour. So, get your ingredients ready and let's do this. The first thing I'm going to do is get a knife. You want a thin-ish tip on your knife and just slice right down into the meat. A few places, just so when we start seasoning it, the seasoning can go right down deep into the meat. Okay, don't need loads, but just give a few pricks. Okay, I've just got a baking tray here, quite a deep baking tray, or it's a roasting tray, not a baking tray, which I've lined with foil because it can get quite messy and completely destroy your pan after it's been in the oven for a long time with loads of different seasonings on. So first of all, I'm going to go in and put our seasonings on. So I have got some red pepper, some onion. You're not going to believe it, but I've got fresh garlic today. I'm not on a lazy one. Spring onion. Just get that all in. Okay. And then I've got some stock cubes. Sorry, the onions made my eyes wrong and my nose a little bit. Right, so I've got 2 stock cubes, and I use beef. I don't like to use the lamb ones with lamb for some reason. I don't like the lamb ones at all, actually. I always use beef. Right, so I've got 2 of those. Crumble it in. And then I've got my lovely Maggi cubes that I can never open. 3 of those. Crumble that in. Little bit of green seasoning. Just a tiny bit of jerk marinade. Now, if you want to know how to make the jerk marinades or the green seasoning, look back on my previous posts, marinades. And then I'm going to go with a little bit of lamb seasoning. Just a little bit. And then the same amount of all-purpose seasoning. Some soy sauce. Black pepper. And a tiny little bit of gravy browning. Just a little bit. What I do now is I add a little bit of water, whoops, just to loosen the mix slightly, and then I'm going to put my gloves on and give it a mix. And I'm also going to add some rosemary, which I've just cut in half. So let's mix this all up. Break down the onions. Now, like I said before, if I was cooking this for myself, I probably would have put about 4 tablespoons of jerk marinade on because I do like it spicy. But as I'm not cooking for myself today, that is not going to happen. So that's all mixed up nicely now. Let's get our lamb. And we just need to massage this all in nicely over all of the meat. Just make sure it's all over, just like when you would do a smaller piece of meat. Make sure it's rubbed in all nicely, all over. Just massage it all in. Okay, so that's what we're looking for. And then, as always, in the fridge overnight. I'm probably going to need to take that out of that and put it in something smaller because I've got no room for that in my fridge at the moment. But yeah, in the fridge overnight. Destroyed. So I forgot, I like to add some liquid seasoning also, quite a lot. Liquid seasoning. I took the foil off because it was getting on my nerves. So it is in my pan now. So scrap the foil idea. Well, you can put it on if you want to put it on, but if the pan gets destroyed, it gets destroyed. That is life, unfortunately, sometimes. But I could not deal with the seasoning trying to creep underneath the foil. That was not a good look. So now it can go in the fridge. This is my lamb that's been marinating overnight. I'm just going to scrape off all of my seasoning and then seal it in a pan and then get it in the oven. So I've scraped all of my seasoning off, or as best as I can. I've not got a pan big enough to seal this piece of meat, so I'm using this griddle. So I'm just going to seal it on all sides, turn on the pan. Just turn it over. Fill that in piece quickly. I'm just going to crumble in one more beef cube. We want a nice rich gravy. And then a little bit of water to help the gravy along. About that much. Mix it up. And our lamb on top. And I've wrapped it really tightly with foil, and then it's going to go straight in the oven. Right, so my lamb's been in the oven for an hour and a half. Carefully taking it out because there's really hot gravy in there. I'm going to take the foil off and turn it over. I'm just going to carefully flip it over. Whoop. Give the gravy a little mix up. All fine. Put the foil back on and then back in the oven for another hour and a half. So fresh out the oven, it's been another hour and a half and it is completely cooked now. You can see it's literally so soft and lovely. I'm just going to drain off the gravy and thicken it up. So I'm just going to move this very carefully because it is very hot onto a plate. And then, let's get my gloves off quickly. Strain off this gravy because all these bits I want to get rid of. Here's my gravy, freshly strained. I'm just going to bring it to the boil, add a little bit of corn flour, do that by mixing equal amounts of corn flour and cold water, and then just adding it to the mix while it's boiling, and it will thicken up nicely, and then we will be good to go. While my gravy is boiling and thickening up, I'm just going to start stripping all the meat from the bone, removing all the skin and getting it ready for plating. Now you do want to be very careful here because as you can see it is still really, really hot. So have your gloves on, take your time, wait for it to cool down a bit before you start handling the meat. Look how soft this meat is. Seriously, so good. Melt in your mouth good. So I've removed all of the meat from the bone, all of the skin's been removed, and it's shredded down into nice little pieces ready for plating. And there you have it. An old school classic with a Caribbean twist. Slow cooked leg of lamb, melt in the mouth. So, so good. You need a bit of time to make it, but it's, as always, worth the wait.